everyone, this is Casey at BeBe Dolls, and today I'm making a video to show you what I'm working on. So it is a what am I working on video, but it's also going to be a how-to tutorial on how to make a doll, and also a little bit of information about a new project that I'm working on. For many years I have really wanted to do something to give back. I wanted to help raise money for some kind of charity. I really never had a focus or idea on how to do that. And recently on my morning walks, I have been listening to radio programs about education, and it's really been on my mind a lot lately. So two things happened. One, I had an idea for making a new kind of doll. And two, I decided that this type of doll would be best for raising money for a charity. So I will have more information about the charity and how that's going to work when after I have some of these dolls done and find out if they're going to sell and we're going to have money to actually donate to the charity. So I do have one picked out, but I will give you more information later after these dolls are out there. So let me tell you about the dolls. The idea I had was to go to a thrift store and get ready-made stuffed animals that are already made and put sort of a BeBe Babies flair on the dolls. So what I'm doing is taking the dolls, washing them from the thrift store, and then taking them apart just at the top and inserting a BeBe Babies head. So this is an owl. This is the first one that I made, and it's probably my favorite so far. I also completed a bear. This is the bear, and there you can see the face of my dolls. And I love this idea because it's so much faster than making the entire stuffed animal. All you have to do is make your doll's head and then basically insert it into a ready-made doll. So I'm going to show you how to do that today with this bear. This is one of the other ones that I bought, and I've already made the head. So what you want to do is, if you're interested in making one of these and you don't know how to make a doll's head, because you could just use a pattern you already have or make your own pattern, but if you really want it to be a BeBe Babies face and head, you can head over to my Etsy shop and find the pattern for just making a head and a little bit of instruction on how to put it inside of a stuffed animal from the thrift store. And I have that pattern for sale. The pattern is also going to be, the money from that pattern will go to the charity as well. So just so you understand that, I'll put a link below directly to the pattern. But like I said, you don't have to use a BeBe Babies head. You can make your own or use a pattern you already have. So what you're going to need is a head. So after you've completed your head, you will then need the stuffed animal. So for this size head, and it does say this in the pattern if you end up buying my pattern, I was buying medium size stuffed animals, but you could enlarge or shrink the head pattern to fit other size stuffed animals, because I actually have one other bear and it's much smaller, so I'm probably going to create a smaller head for this one. So that is the fourth one that I will be doing later, and I might actually go back to the thrift store and get a few more if this is well received. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to put the head inside of your stuffed animal. So the first thing you're going to want to do, so this guy has a bow. The other ones did not have a bow. I'm going to try to just leave his bow there and not disturb it. You can see here that it is sewn on. So if the bow is in your way or it needs to be removed, you'd have to remove that first. But what you're going to do is you're going to find the neck seam of the doll or the stuffed animal. You can see it here. And for this, you're going to need a seam ripper. So you'll take your seam ripper and find that neck seam, and somewhere in the center of the bear, because you're going to want to remove the least amount of seams that you can. That way you don't have to sew a lot up when you put the head in, and you'll keep the integrity and the design of the original stuffed animal. So what I do is just sort of rip out the same amount left to right. If you come across seams going other directions, be careful to only rip out the, because you know this seam is going up this way and we don't really want to rip that out because we'll have to sew it back. So you just want to release the neck basically, and then take out the stuffing, which you can save for other projects or whatever. And you're just going to want to see if your head fits in there. That's how I determine how much I want to remove or how many stitches I want to rip out. But as you can see, that looks like enough. And you just want to sort of move it around to get it in a position that looks cute, which I think that looks pretty good. And then all you have to do is sort of fold under the frayed ends, the rough ends of the stuffed animal that you have opened up. Just sort of tuck it under, and then you will take some upholstery thread. This is the upholstery thread that I use for all my soft sculpting, everything, closing my dolls. I use it for so many things. And the reason is because it's very strong. And so when you're doing things like a ladder stitch and you're closing openings or doing anything where you want to pull really hard on the thread like soft sculpting, you really need a very strong thread, because if you use regular thread it will just break as you pull it. So what we're going to do is take a pretty long piece of thread. You also will need a long doll needle. You can do this with a shorter needle, but it's a lot easier if you have a long one. You're going to thread that upholstery thread, and then you're just going to sew a running stitch around all the parts of the head that are where the bear is. So, and it doesn't even have to be that pretty, because you're not going to see it under the fluff of the bear. So I just sort of go along, and I would go around the head a couple of times and make sure it's very secure. You can kind of pull up in here on the bear and make sure that you haven't missed any spots, especially if you're going to give this toy to a child. You want to make sure that you have really got it on there good. So let's do that. Make sure as you get to the part where you have ripped the seam that you secure that very well. You may have to actually sew the seam back together a few times where you've ripped it to make sure that it's not going to come apart on the doll. So you can do a couple ladder stitches in those parts where it's kind of possible to rip more. Basically, you don't want it to rip anymore. And then around the neck or the bottom of the head is probably the hardest part. But again, you just want to keep it folded over and sew it to the baby's head. and it might help you to pin it. If it helps you, then go ahead and do that. I find that it's pretty easy because, like I said, the stuffed animal is really fluffy, so even if your stitches don't look great, you're not going to notice them. And just make sure you keep pulling everything tight as you go. And now on this end is the end where I might have ripped a little too much going on a different seam. So I'm just going to kind of put a few stitches around this area to kind of close it up a little bit, which you can always do. It just adds some protection so that the doll, like I said, the seams don't come out. So now that we've made it around, this is where you can pull up a little on the fur and kind of see where your gaps are, or see where you should add some stitches as you go around. Also making sure that the fur is still folded over, because you don't want any of those rough edges sticking out, even though it probably won't matter because the bear is so fluffy. It's still nice to keep it folded under. You can also kind of feel with your finger and see where your previous stitches are and where there might be little gaps. Once you've made it all the way around again, you can just sort of tie off your thread anywhere. The way that I do it is I come out of the head or the piece somewhere kind of inconspicuous, and I make a little knot, tie it twice, and then push the needle back through to hide the knot, and pull on it and trim it so it goes back inside the head, and you're finished. So here is our little thrift store bear. And I will take some pictures so you can see him a little bit bigger, as well as photos of the other ones. So these guys are going to be available in my Etsy shop. I will put a link below for you if you're interested. As I said, they are going to be for charity. So I'm going to write out my listing describing my thoughts on what charity I'm choosing. I do have one that I have picked and my reasons why, so please check it out if you're interested. And if you're interested in making your own and donating any of the money, let me know. And if not, and you just want to buy the pattern or the doll, that would help a lot and be super supportive, so I would love that.